Josh Duggar loses court case. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. For Duggar family latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. The courtroom fell into a suffocating silence as the judge's gavel struck the hardwood desk with a definitive crack. The air seemed to freeze around the Duggar family, their faces drained of color, eyes fixed on the bench where the verdict had just been announced. Joshua James Duggar, your appeal is hereby denied. You will remain in police custody pending further sentencing adjustments. The words echoed through the room like thunder rolling down a mountain. Anna Duggar, seated behind her husband with trembling fingers wrapped around a neatly folded tissue, gasped softly. Her eyes filled with tears, but she did not break down, not yet. Jim Bob Duggar closed his eyes momentarily, whispering something under his breath, likely a prayer. Michelle stared straight ahead, gripping Jim Bob's hand tightly, struggling to maintain composure while her heart felt like it was collapsing inward. Josh looked drained, his shoulders slumped as he absorbed the reality that his final legal lifeline had just been cut. He didn't look back at his family, not because he didn't want to, but because shame held his head down like an invisible weight chained around his neck. His attorney tried to whisper something encouraging, but Josh's eyes remained fixed on the steel cuff edging against his wrist. It was over. There was no escape left. Outside the courthouse, flashing lights from media vans bathed the concrete steps in harsh, artificial glow. Reporters rushed forward, microphones outstretched, their voices overlapping with urgent questions. Jim Bob, Michelle, do you believe justice was served? Anna, do you still support your husband? How will this affect the Duggar family moving forward? The family's security detail worked swiftly, escorting them to the black SUV parked nearby. Jessa, standing a short distance from the court entrance with tears in her eyes, watched silently with husband Ben Seawold. She felt torn, bound by faith to support her family, yet tormented by the public disgrace surrounding them. Her younger sisters Jana and Joanna clung together, visibly shaken, while Jill, who had once distanced herself from the family, stood farther back with Derek Dillard, keeping her expression carefully controlled. Inside the courtroom, Josh was being led away, surrounded by officers. As the escort reached the side door, he finally turned his head slightly, eyes searching. His gaze met Anna's for just a moment through the glass partition. Her lips parted, and a single tear rolled down her cheek as their eyes locked. He wanted to say sorry. He wanted to promise things would be different. But there were no words left. Only the sound of shackles clinking as he was taken out of the room. Immediately after the verdict, tension spread through the Duggar family like cracks in glass. Jim Bob insisted on gathering everyone at the family estate in Arkansas. That evening, they assembled around the large wooden dining table, one that had hosted countless family meals but now carried a heaviness no one could escape. Michelle sat quietly, puffy-eyed but firm. The adult children arranged themselves around the room, some with their spouses, others seated alone, staring at empty plates. Finally, Jim Bob stood and addressed them. "We are a family built on faith," he began, voice steady though lined with exhaustion. "We must stand strong during trials. This is not the end. God allows struggles to strengthen us." His words hung in the air, but not all hearts received them the same way. Jinger, calling in via video from California with husband Jeremy, looked visibly uneasy. "But Dad," she said gently through the speaker, "we also have to acknowledge the pain this has caused. People are hurting." Jeremy placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, nodding subtly. Anna sat silently across the table, hands folded tightly. The room seemed to shift as she finally spoke, her voice soft but hauntingly resolved. "I believed he would come home today. I believed with all my heart God would show mercy." She paused, eyes glistening. But maybe, she exhaled shakily, maybe mercy doesn't always look like freedom. Maybe it's exposure. Correction. Her statement startled some of the family, especially those still fervently praying for Josh's release. Joanna looked down at her lap, tears forming. Jess's shoulders tensed, and she exchanged a quick glance with Ben. Suddenly, a sound cut through the silence. Jill began to cry. The room froze. She stood, wiping her eyes, and spoke with raw honesty. "I tried to warn you all years ago about boundaries, about accountability." Her voice quivered, but she continued, "We kept covering things. We called it grace, but it was preventable harm." Jim Bob looked pained, staring at his daughter with a mixture of sadness and frustration. "Jill," he started, but Jill lifted her hand, gently motioning him to stop. "I love you, Dad." But love doesn't mean silence. This moment marked a turning point. Some of the siblings aligned quietly with Jill, while others remained loyal to the idea of unwavering support. Joshua's situation had created a deep emotional fracture among them. John David, usually reserved, finally spoke. "We have to protect the ones at risk. We cannot just pray this away." His wife, Abby, nodded beside him. Meanwhile, back at the county detention facility, Josh sat alone in his cell. The day's events replayed in his mind like a film on endless loop. The cold walls around him offered no comfort. He leaned back against the metal bunk, eyes tracing cracks along the ceiling. He thought about the past, his childhood, the expectations, the strict structure of his upbringing. He thought about the choices he'd made and the consequences now unfolding not just on him, but on his family. For the first time in years, he questioned the path that led him here. Was it pride? Was it avoidance? Was it denial of his own flaws? Somewhere inside, a part of him began to realize that freedom without transformation had never been true freedom at all. The following morning, media coverage intensified. Headlines blasted across news channels. Duggar family crisis deepens. Josh Duggar denied appeal. Family divided. Insiders revealed Duggar household tensions. Social media became a battlefield, with opinions fiercely divided. Some called for forgiveness, others demanded accountability, while former fans expressed sorrow and disbelief. A family long known for their televised values was now navigating a different kind of publicity, one that did not allow editing, rehearsals, or multiple takes. Days passed slowly. Anna visited Josh in custody with limited permission. Their conversations were brief, separated by thick security glass. She held the phone tightly, her voice calm but resolute. "Josh," she whispered, "I still believe God can work in your life. But this time I think he's asking you to surrender everything. Not just legal battles, but your pride, your excuses." Josh swallowed hard, eyes reddening.
"I don't know how," he said softly.
Anna looked at him with unexpected strength. "Start by telling the truth. Even if it hurts. Even if you lose everything else." She didn't say, "if you lose me," but the silence following her sentence spoke volumes. Back at the Duggar home, the children continued processing the aftermath. Jessa confided in Ben late one night. "I still remember when we were little we thought Dad and Mom could fix anything. But now it feels like the more we try to hide, the more it all unravels." Ben nodded, wrapping his arms around her. "Maybe that's what needs to happen for real healing to start." Michelle spent hours daily in prayer, often alone in her bedroom. One evening, she finally broke down while folding laundry. Jim Bob found her sitting on the floor, holding one of Joshua's old shirts from storage. She clutched it to her chest and sobbed, something she had held back for so long. Jim Bob knelt beside her, embracing her gently. He whispered the only words he had left. "We'll get through this. Even if it's never the same again." The family began attending counseling sessions offered through their church community. Some resistant at first, eventually opened up about long-standing emotional challenges, identity struggles outside the family's strict structure, and fear of public judgment. Slowly, they began to shift away from maintaining a perfect image to seeking authentic healing, even when painful. As Christmas approached, an empty chair remained at the Duggar dining table, a reminder of the son, husband, brother, father not present. The children wrote notes to Josh, which Anna promised to deliver. Some expressed love, others expressed confusion, and a few wrote words they had never dared speak aloud. Jill's note was short but powerful. "Healing begins with honesty. I hope you let it." During a supervised call on Christmas Eve, Josh's voice cracked as he thanked them all for the messages. He spoke to his children, trying to remain strong, but tears filled his eyes. "Daddy loves you more than words." The call ended with a forced disconnect, leaving silence where the family had hoped for closure. Weeks later, as Josh awaited a new sentencing review, he began meeting with pastoral counselors inside the facility. Not to seek a shorter sentence, but to confront the deeper roots of his actions. It was the first time he entered such sessions voluntarily. Meanwhile, Anna made a public statement, not defending his actions, but asking people to allow space for reform. Jessa posted a subtle reflection on social media about grace and accountability coexisting. Jill, though still emotionally distant from family life, reached out privately to support her younger sisters. Jim, Bob, and Michelle began quietly stepping away from public appearances, focusing instead on their children's emotional well-being. They started a weekly family discussion night, without cameras, without scripts, allowing questions, doubts, and feelings to exist without judgment. The family was no longer searching for redemption in the public eye, but rather rebuilding from within. They accepted that healing wouldn't come quickly nor without scars. Some relationships might never fully return to what they once were. But beneath the weight of grief and shame, something new began to grow: humility, sincerity, and a willingness to face truth rather than conceal it. Josh, one night alone in his cell, looked through a small barred window at the faint outline of stars. For the first time since his arrest, he whispered not a plea for release, but a prayer for change. God, break what needs to be broken so something better can be built. It would be a long journey, one filled with consequences, uncomfortable truths, and years of reconstruction. But somewhere, beneath the pain that gripped the Duggar family on that tragic court day, a new chapter had quietly begun, one where transformation, not image, held the final say.